EA is looked like it's going to be sold to Saudi Arabia and Jared Kushner for $55 billion. So what does that mean? Like, is this a good thing? Is this a bad thing? Let's talk about it. Yeah, Saudi Arabia with Silver Lake and with a firm that is run up by Jared Kushner, which is the son-in-law of Donald Trump, is buying EA in 2017 for $55 billion, or reportedly $55 billion. Obviously, the sale is not final, so when I say it is happening, it just really looks like it is. But yeah, obviously, nothing's done until it's done, which is, what does it mean for gaming as a whole? Well, I'll go into the pros and cons, but I'll just give you a brief overview of everything right now. EA is 2% market share of all video games, and that includes like just everything. I know 2% isn't a lot, but it is. It really is in a giant market with this much money going in at it. It is a huge amount. They aren't the biggest player. I think Tencent would be there. I think they're about 17, 18%, and with GTA 6, probably be more. But yeah, so is this a good thing for games? Obviously, Saudi Arabia has a bit of a history, let's just say, of silencing journalists, killing them. They've been heavily linked to 9/11. There's all sorts of things. And in this channel, we usually do avoid politics just because people believe what they believe. I really think politics recently has become more like religion for some people, where it is, nope, that is my faith, and I will not waver from that. So I don't try to get political on this channel. Same with my brother, just because it alienates people, and people are driven with opinions, and they're dug their heels in the sand, on both sides here. So don't feel targeted if you're on the right or the left. I think both sides have dug their heels in and won't listen to the other, and I don't think both are always correct. But there are a few things with Saudi Arabia when it comes to censorship, when it comes to not being able to make fun of certain things, only saying positive things about certain people in Saudi Arabia, and I'll probably say Saudi Arabia as a country as a whole, and then just maybe avoiding any of the human rights issues that seem to come out of that country. At the very least, it is a different country to America. And so what this might mean for games is that some games obviously won't be able to make fun of these regions. They won't be able to say anything bad about them. I think you would lose a lot of the terrorist elements in video games, just because anything that would be linked to that side of the world, I think, would be taken away here. However, it's not to say that EA as a whole has been great since it's been public in 1990. It was pretty good for quite a while, actually. I will say that. But come the turn of the century, I would say they've really gone downhill. And I think like Medal of Honor is a prime example of a game that has gone wayward from EA, and there are countless examples where it got bought after two proper games, full games of Medal of Honor. And it was like Steven Spielberg working on them, making sure the tone and shift are right. And bear in mind, Medal of Honor at the time was like taboo. It was like, no, you can't make a World War II shooter. Like, you can't do this. It's not correct. And then it just takes off because of the reverence that they gave that game. And it really made way for like Call of Duty and Battlefield. Like, I cannot explain to you how much that game has really like trickled into what we see now in the first-person shooter style of things. And all started with Medal of Honor. The second EA took over, it went downhill. The second. And it's a lot of those games where the second they start to see profitability, or they start to go like, oh, hang on a minute, there's a hit here. Instead of just like, hey, this could just be a good game for us. Doesn't need to be great, but it can be good. And it's something that we can bank on, and we got some developers here, and then maybe for every 2 years they're working on a game, maybe there's a third year they can help us out and move something out. They can work on something here for us to get that well. Or maybe they can, work with another developer group that we own to just, help consult with them, especially when they buy newer studios, and maybe ways to navigate the realm. Instead of that, they go, this is a universe. We need to make as much money as we can from this universe. And, it's what happens when it's executives that have come out of MBA school, which is just like stock market everything, share prices everything. And, a lot of CEOs in conventions and panels will say, no, that's not correct. It 100% is. They just care about how to make that stock go up for their investors, who they're ultimately beholden to. And you can see that with the way EA has been for the last 20 years. A lot of franchises have gone down the wayside in the last 20 years. And that's not to say that's a bad thing. I think sometimes franchises do lose their shine and it's time to move on. But I would say EA has driven that into the ground really quick. Like, Need for Speed games came out way too often and had no reason to go back to it. They were just sort of shoved out towards the end there with no real love or passion to it. Mass Effect 2, one of the best games that I played growing up, followed by Mass Effect 3, which clearly had executives all over it. We need multiplayer, we need season passes, we need skins. Oh my god, do we need skins? And we need pre-order bonuses, and we need to make all that money. And then, you head to like season passes and all those side of things and everything. All their sports games, I would say, like I haven't played FIFA much, and I think Madden's changed a fair bit recently, but obviously that went through a real downward spiral. But NHL was one of the best sporting games going, especially if you're a hockey fan. It had GM connected before anything else did. It was revolutionary. It was kind of the game where they kind of tried things to make sure it would work for the bigger ones. And now it's just a shell of itself. I don't think football's too bad, but obviously it is all about fight. It is all about ultimate teams, and that's what it all is. It's all about this way to just get more money out of these games, and kind of the free-to-play model, but with paid games, is kind of EA's work right now. They don't have too many free-to-play games. Obviously, there's a few that are there. And then they've had, like, terrible marketing decisions where, like, Titanfall 2, one of the best multiplayer games I played, came out the same week as Battlefield 1. It makes no sense. Like, you own both games. So it's just a lot of those things that just, I don't know. It's not like EA's a perfect company. And they kind of self-censor themselves as well. Like any mass media produced company, self-censor. You'll never see, China involved in a war or like battles in China, for instance, just because, it's a huge market that they can sell into. So they're not going to get a game banned there. So I think a lot of that just stays the same. There might be one or two differences. Outside of that, I don't think we're going to see too many problems. Where this might be a positive, and again, like I said, I think you'll get away from terrorists in games. Not to say that Saudi Arabia is terrorist, but obviously they don't want to be linked in any way, shape, or form to that, and it will probably need some sort of approval process. Not that any games really make fun of the Prince of Saudi Arabia, but you're not going to see that. The one thing that might be a good thing is that, that might give a bit of breathing room for games to grow here. And it's so clear that everything that EA has done in the last 8 years is to sell this company. They've kind of closed a lot of studios. They've really consolidated everything. I wouldn't say 8 years, maybe since COVID. They're just leveraging their titles and pumping them up as much as possible. And it's just making it so it can be acquired, pretty much. That they don't have... It's almost, I wouldn't say a clean slate, but it is kind of like it's ready to be picked up and then someone else can take their spin on things. So it could be a good thing here. Like, instead of just rehashing the same titles, EA might be part of the solution with games and coming out with new games with new ideas. It obviously just might be a little bit censored, but all mass media is. So I think it might stick to the way it is now. And if you look, like, Tencent has GTA. That's China owned. So if there's money to be had, they're going to ignore it because money says everything. They just won't allow it in their own country. So yeah, I'm a little bit more optimistic than other people. I think about this. The one thing that I worry about is it's one side of American politics and Saudi Arabia that might have a lot of narrative in games. At which case, those games won't be fun, and it will leave a void in the market for someone else to go into and play in, and they'll just give the blueprint of what not to do. But I would just say EA hasn't been that great for a while now. So yeah, I don't see a problem with this necessarily outside of I'm putting the human rights side of like Saudi Arabia aside. For the game, for you at home that's watching this, that is eventually going to play these products, this might be a good thing. This actually might be a better thing. And as Saudi Arabia starts to leverage off oil, they might change a little bit and have a bit more reform there. I mean, I don't think they're going to have a lot, but hey, that's just something to throw out there. But yeah, I just don't love EA at the moment, and I don't think this is going to really change it from a negative to a positive. One thing I will say is that if you are looking to go like, well, I'm going to yell at a developer at DICE, no developer had any say in this. Like, learn just the basics of business. This is 50 executives that are getting massive bonuses for this deal. So anyone making a game won't have anything to do with this when it comes to the sale. A lot of employees will probably be affected. But yeah, I'm just hoping EA kind of gets away from the AI side of things, and because right now they're big into AI, and I think that's just, again, it's that cost leveraging. It's trying to get the cost of everything down so much so it's appealing to buy. at a very high rate. And so, yeah, I know there's a lot of AI, a lot of actors have left, like Apex Legends and a few other games for AI reasons. So, yeah, like maybe they'll sort of go away with that. If they don't, again, the games aren't going to be great and people just won't play them. And then they'll just be like, oh, we don't know what to do, and it'll sell off for pennies on a dollar. So, yeah, so it's just that. If the games are good that come from it, I'll definitely buy it. I don't think there's any such thing as ethical capitalism. It doesn't work that way. So, if the games are good, I'll buy it. If they're not, I'll probably buy it and review it for the channel, but, I'll just say what I think it is. Anyway, that's the whole video. Kind of just rambled a little bit about this, but, it was kind of interesting. And, I don't think anyone knows. I don't think anyone knows. And obviously, I just wanted to put aside some of the political stuff, which seems to be a lot of people just diving into and just say, hey, this is like EA wasn't a perfect company beforehand. They have, like, I missed a lot of game franchises they've killed or not seen the potential of because they wanted to go down a certain route. Apex Legends is another one, man, that should be way better than it is. I remember when that game first came out, it was so good, and now it's just a shell of itself. Like, everything's just so yeah. Anyway, and, Battlefield 6 coming out, so, that game will still be good, and there won't be any censorship on anything till 2027. Obviously, I don't think there's going to be a Saudi Arabia level, but just because they want to keep everyone happy, but, everything's all coming out, so yeah. Anyway, that is the whole video, so hit the subscribe button because we're just a wee baby channel. I did a bit of research for this one. Comment down below, what are your thoughts, just with EA in general, anything with censorship? I'd just like to get your views on this, just because, we're a small channel and we're a bit of an echo chamber, my brother and I, so it's always good to get your opinion on this. And hit the like button because then it algorithms it and sends it off to someone else. Anyway, I'm going to edit this up, cut this up, and get on out of here, so thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. See you and bye.